Okay, welcome back, everybody. We got another good show in store for you today. A two-part pod. Kyle Schultz and I will be in studio for the first half, chatting about the epic Texas video. I don't want to call it that, but I know you had a nice, beautiful title on it. But
it's like the tour plus the Texas Rangers tournament video combined.
Yeah, Josh Young, MLB All-Stars, whatever you want to call it. Just a good video.
Extravaganza.
Something that felt pretty new and well done for just like the structure of it was totally new for us, I think.
Yep.
So pretty cool to see Kyle put that together and put out such a great product that's being pretty well received, I'd say. So we'll dive into that and the intricacies of the video from like a production standpoint, editing standpoint, but then also just like the event as well and the lasting impacts. And then total right-hand turn. Drew Davis and I will get into who knows what. I haven't talked to him yet when I'm recording this intro, so I'm going to interview him in a bit after I chat with Kyle. So that'll be the second half of this episode, and buckle up for that portion. So without further ado, this is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. We are into March, folks. March is on the calendar. Spring is around the corner. Daylight savings time this weekend. And I'm in studio with Kyle Schultz today. No Jack joining us, unfortunately. He's tied up with his lacrosse club, which is fun. We'll have to hear about that later. But Kyle, thanks for joining me. You got the Hans Zimmer merch on.
I know.
I think you told the...
Guys, check this out.
You told the pod you were going, and then you had it on your story.
The Hans Zimmer concert was my first concert ever. Mm-hmm. It was a big success. I'm a movie soundtrack nerd, so I was nerding out, of course, when he's playing scores from like Interstellar, Lion King, The Last Samurai, Gladiator, like all of his best.
Was there any of his best that you didn't get that you wanted?
I mean, he's got some really niche like kids movies, like Kung Fu Panda is one of them.
Film.
I thought it had a great soundtrack, film. But like I can see why it doesn't have like mass appeal to other audiences and stuff. So that's like one of them he left off. But Inception, Gladiator, like I said, the most known ones, The Dark Knight. Like, he played all those.
The Dark Knight.
And shout out to my brother Brendan, who I went with in
sick.
Barclays Center in Brooklyn last month.
Sellout crowd.
It was, yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
It was awesome, dude.
What was let's get into it later, maybe.
Sure.
Wiffle Ball, we had a video go up,
it's been a fun week.
Which is why you were on the vid. Fun week. Want to elaborate?
Because I loved this video. First of all, I love the event. Like, there were so many different angles of why it was a cool event. But we had 77 teams. We're back at Texas for the... What is it? Fourth year in a row now.
Yep.
Partnered with Josh, though, for the third straight year. And he got all of his buddies in on it, and it played on camera, and they were just really enjoying themselves during those two games where they played MLW. And the vid's doing really well right now. I love the music I used. I kind of, given that this video was sponsored by SeatGeek, I could kind of have more freedom with the songs I used.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. So I wanted to go all out by just making this like as good of a video as I possibly could. And this one literally took me like 5 weeks to edit. Mm-hmm. I think we're getting some pretty good feedback right now.
Yeah, views are looking good. I saw on I think it was your personal Instagram story, you just said like favorite video you've made in a long time.
Yeah.
I guess, was anything else besides what you just mentioned? Did anything else like weigh into that?
I think just like the ins and outs of the MLW game, but also the tournament aspect, just teams flying from all over the country. We got Norp in here to do a couple question interviews. There was the aspect at the end where it was kind of a surprise to people that we raised over $10,000 to this nonprofit org called the Miracle League, where team fees and ticket sales were going to. So just like, there was kind of a new thing every couple minutes in that video.
It was new for sure.
And, we had Sailor Cam going. That was a cool aspect. And just the confessionals from me here, like sitting down on this little ottoman right here, kind of giving context and structure about the event, our whole tournament circuit. So it's kind of like the old tour videos mixed in with this new age kind of version. And that's something with the tour video. I always like to change how I do it each year. And I thought I did a good job of like integrating that into a single event this year. So again, it was just kind of a very unique video and something that every time in my off seasons, my videos aren't as structured as they are, from May to November, where it's like, you can only have so much freedom outside of the constraints of like wiffle ball games, like maybe in the intermissions between games. But other than that, we're editing wiffle ball, just game videos.
Yep.
But in the off season, this was a true like blank slate. Like I could have took this video anywhere, and just managing like the gameplay, kind of promoting our tournament circuit, just collaborating with MLB All-Stars. We had 3 All-Stars that we were playing against. Like, it was just a lot of cool things happening.
Yeah. Did you, I enjoyed the video very much, actually, I will say. And
Nice.
you had mentioned previously, I think on the podcast, that you were thinking you were going to do Texas as its separate video and then to the tour, ended up merging them. When you began to sit down to edit this video, did you have like a clear timeline of it, or did it kind of evolve as you started to like see how it came together?
Yeah, this one was fully written before.
Okay, so it was done.
Edited, yeah.
Okay.
I knew I was gonna have like an ad in the first third, and then I knew I was gonna have to promote and want to promote the tournament circuit and kind of give structure of like what this is and what the bigger picture is, like 2/3 the way in. But I kind of wanted the whole video obviously to revolve around what most people want to see, and that's the MLB guys playing MLW. Like, I could have obviously titled it that, but I think the way we titled it, Wiffle Ball Battle versus MLB Stars, 77 teams, has more mass appeal, but that's the biggest thing. So I wanted to put one of the games in the first half, the other in the second half, kind of close it out with the tourney champions, the money raised, all that type of stuff. But yeah, it was all written out.
Okay. So it was written out, but I guess what from your original idea to getting to that point, like how many different drafts were there? Once you decided to integrate, was it pretty clear the vision you wanted?
I think the vision was pretty clear. And honestly, for me too, the music is something I took a lot of time before filming. So I knew like transition from song to song, like how the vibe would change. And I wanted to pick good music that also correlated to what was happening in the video. Like, I used a song called The Traveling Song from Madagascar 2 over the tour. And it just applied so well to what was occurring right in front of your eyes.
I don't know if I even noticed that one. I noticed it was Stay by Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber.
It was
right?
after that, yeah.
And then I noticed Creed, obviously.
Yeah, that was.
But the Traveling Song was also in there.
That was from Madagascar 2.
I don't know if I noticed that one as much.
There's another Hans Zimmer movie, if you guys didn't know.
What's Hans Zimmer?
That one was by Will.i.am. Like, they had various artists in the soundtrack, but I think the Hans Zimmer show, just kind of a callback here, that kind of inspired me to use that song. But no, everything, I think before I even recorded anything, wrote anything, I knew the direction of the video was going to be kind of jumping back and forth from what was actually happening to what happened previously in 2024.
Mm-hmm. Did you fear any type of criticism from the fans who were like at the tournaments that like it didn't get its own video, like having to actually make the decision to merge that into primarily focusing on one of the tournaments versus the four other ones that happened?
That's a good question.
Or 3 other ones that happened.
And something we get all the time by doing these tournaments every year. We do like 4 or 5 now. Obviously, it's like, you know, is this going to be its own video? Yeah. But if I wanted to make such high quality videos for each one of them, it would go into the season. It would go into the spring and summer because we do so many. So we had to. I kind of like to just limit it to one and have the best moments all be included in that one. The Rangers one, you know, they got a little lucky. If you're just, you know, a fan playing in that event, you're a lot more likely, I think, to be in this video. I do try to include like everybody that I talked to and saw, but sometimes it just doesn't fit in the cut.
It's had to be a lot of footage watching.
Oh yeah, there was some good footage cut, like there always is.
Yeah.
There's some funny bloopers that, you know, this time I didn't feel like including. I just wanted kind of like a clean ending, but yeah, there's a lot of good footage that we could, you know, logically make a video about each tournament, but I think having one that it all leads up to is pretty special. And plus, we got to include all the champions in the video too, like the team names, like with the label on the bottom half. It's kind of cool.
How did you come up with the 4 like reasons why playing in an MLW tournament may appeal to people? How'd you narrow it down to those 4? It was 4, right?
Well, yeah. I think that's the true 4 of why people sign up.
Mm-hmm.
But I also thought it was a great way for me to kind of narrate and include and keep people engaged on the Texas tourney, but also the previous 4 tournaments. Like, it was a good way for me to, again, bridge the previous tournaments with the current one, because I can include footage from, you know, talking to people in Texas. Like, we had a couple of our fans there, recognize Kelly and McPeak, but then the next clip would be like MLW players at the Wiffle and the Mitten and stuff. So it was kind of like it would like blend perfectly.
Steve McPeak, first screen time in how many years in this league?
That was awesome. A bunch of our fans knew, of course, who they were, like when we saw them.
That's so funny.
But yeah, Ryan Kelly, I don't know if we talked about this. We might have mentioned it, but Kelly and McPeak do live in Texas. So they wanted to come through, and that was awesome seeing them. And then they signed a couple autographs to some of the OG fans that recognized them. So that was cool.
That is pretty sweet. Did they play in the tournament too?
No, they didn't. They needed one more guy. They were going to play, but they didn't have a third. And
That's
I don't
tough.
They might have had time constraints. I'm not sure, but also like they might have been on an MLW team, but like we didn't have the certain amount of guys like that was right. So maybe next year.
Who actually bounced those MLW teams out of the tournament? Was the competition pretty solid?
We were both 2-0, and we only gave up one run, and we still didn't make it.
So you just didn't make the bracket because the runs against,
because it was extremely selective.
Yeah.
And we are working at this, guys, to get 2 days at Globe Life Field next year. So it's a regular MLW event where 16 move on to the day 2 as opposed to 4 for bracket play, which is just pretty crazy.
Yeah.
There's probably a pretty high chance that us or Red would have been to the final if the true amount of teams would have made it, but we had to cut it down to 4. So like we had literally one run against. We walked in a run, and that like knocked us out of the tournament.
And that was against Josh's team.
Yeah,
right?
first inning actually.
Did Josh pitch the majority of that first game?
So you know how MLW tournaments work. You get it's a 4-inning game, and your max innings pitch is 3. Josh pitched all 3, and then they had Cody Bradford come in for the 4th, and we got 1 off him. So Norp actually had 2 doubles in I think the second inning of that game. So it was 1-1 going in the 4th, and Jorgie had a walk-off single against Bradford in the 4th to win it.
Nobody else had it in the tank on that squad to throw it. It's so funny how different the 2 games were. 2-1 and then 15-14 or whatever it was.
Even I was a little wild. I walked the bases loaded, and then I got 3 strikeouts, I think, in the top of the frame.
Oh, dang, nice.
So I pitched that frame, but I was actually, like, obviously being there, my dad was doing something else helping-wise, so nobody actually scored that game.
Oh, wow.
So when I was editing, I actually went, hitter by hitter, and I was scoring it myself. Yeah. It was kind of cool to see the box scores and like what actually happened, because when you're playing, like, you don't know what's happening. Like, it's all a blur. I'm focused on 7 different camera angles. So that was really cool. And then the second game just was kind of a fun one. 15-14 final score. Like 7 or 8 home runs or something. Peak Colm. Literally 5 for 5.
3 bombs.
3 homers. Dolis had a home run. Josh had a home run. Ballman had like a couple home runs. So it was fun.
I actually liked the score bug you used to like highlight the end of that game.
That was custom made.
Fresh creation.
Yeah, it was custom
just
made.
For this video.
I needed to, like, obviously at the end of any of our games, I like to kind of put a detailed thing of what just happened and actual details. Yeah. And I just thought this was a good way to kind of not. It was kind of a good way to not be so be like a boundary before like game 1, then game 2 is kind of just like it keeps the video moving.
Do you think we'll see maybe a little more of that in the future, or something of similar theme and nature?
I'm not sure, because in the game videos we don't do post game interviews after the game 1, and I kind of had that playing while they were talking.
True.
So I'd probably keep it as just like a full screen
slide
thing, yeah. So you can get a better. Also with the full screen thing, you get a good look at the pitchers too.
You do.
Scores, errors, like everything, kind of like bigger. So
box score.
The design of that might change in the 2025 season, but
that's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little refresher.
I think when it comes to other graphics, though, I don't want to spoil anything else too much, but we could be looking at some new things here.
Kyle, what were your thoughts on the 2025 Super Bowl score bug?
I've had some time to think about Tom. I've had some time to think about this. You like it now? I just think that here's where I think they were coming from. Just with kind of making everything, on the bottom half and having no background, you technically get to see more of the field and what's going on. Yes. I think they could have done a better job with shadows and maybe outlines, so that maybe like a line on the field, if it's white, it wouldn't blend as good with the white like lettering. That's where they're coming from. No, I get it. It'll be interesting to see if they keep that, because I think historically when they introduce one in the Super Bowl, they have it play. And honestly, I think that's what they're going to do. I think so too. And I also feel like every single time a score bug is introduced, especially in football, people don't like it, and then they warm up to it. So I think I agree with this one's just bad. I just don't like how it's just so plain. I think they're like going for more of like a what's the word? Like they're just above, like design wise, they're just above everybody. Like this is next level. I think because of how minimal. I think you're right. It's a minimal take. Like there was probably a lot of score bugs that were pitched. Yeah. And I think that was probably one that was like, this is cutting edge. It's new. It's so cutting edge. It's so minimalistic. Like there's nothing to it. It's just letters for each team. It's one color. Yeah. It's numbers. Like it's just. It reminds me of like something. It reminds me of something I would have put like on a TikTok slide. Like just really quick, big, easy to read. Like it feels very like, is it like Gen Z? Like who are younger than even us? Let me bring it up right now as you fill time here, Tom. Let me give us some work. I sent Kyle a funny clip from a podcast that was talking about that's why I wanted to ask.
It's fine. You know, I thought at first, like, yeah, I don't really like that, but it didn't like ruin my experience of football watching or anything. It was fine. It's just people like to complain about stuff, and I know Kyle's a score bug. Me and Kyle talk about score bugs a lot.
We do.
We send stuff on Twitter back and forth sometimes of the goated score bugs. Some of those old CBS ones for March Madness are just so good.
It's really not that bad. Like I think they're gonna stay with it.
No, they will. I bet they will too.
I always think of like what you don't include when you change a score bug. Like they don't have the logos.
No logos. No like gradients, right? It's all one color.
Right. No like shine. Like
how do they mark where the ball? Like the football be behind the letters? Was it on top? I forget what they did. Where the ball was.
Not even seeing
there was a ball indicator.
They just had like 2nd and 7 above PHI.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Which is also interesting to me.
We'll see.
I don't know. To me, for like you said, they wanted to show more screen. It was a large score bug.
Yeah.
I kind of like just a thin bar on the bottom. I'm a thin bar guy.
There's got to be like a design guy from Fox that has to have like spoken out about this, you know, at this point in time.
Yeah, for football, I'm just a thin bar, not too tall. I don't like it in the corner. I like a thin bar.
I wonder how big that team is. Is it one guy? Is it 3 guys? Like who's taking the heat?
I bet it's just a score bug guy who made a bunch of mocks and then showed it to a board.
That'd be awesome.
Like that one.
Work like once a year. Scorebug.
Well, I think he has other jobs besides Scorebug, but
yeah, just freelance Scorebug guy.
That would be a sick
like if that guy
handle on Instagram.
If that guy exists, oh my
Dude,
god,
that should be you.
I'll hire him.
That should be a total Instagram account.
That'd be
like
awesome.
At freelance Scorebug guy.
Make him for like high school teams.
Next thing you know, he gets big, and then he's like doing stuff for Fox. That'd be so sick.
That reminds me like batting stance guy or like Marlins guy, but
yeah,
just freelance Scorebug guy.
That's an elite handle.
Wow,
I might make that right now if I had my phone on me just to have it.
How about we do like, you know how we did the Sparky's big first interview? Let's get that guy. We need to have him tell his side of the story.
Cole Story could be that guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Have we ever put Cole Story to a Scorebug test? It'd be a fun experiment.
Again, me and him might be collabing.
You're collabing on this? It's a collaborative effort?
I think so.
I like that. But you've already kind of narrowed it down a little bit, right? Or are you still making final tweaks?
Final tweaks, but I think the overall feel and aesthetic, I think we have down.
Okay, nice. When's the last Scorebug change we've had?
Dude, it's been, I want to say 2022. And that's where I started using a little bit of gradients and bevel. Mm-hmm. Before that, it was just flat, flat design. And before that, do you remember when it's kind of cringy to think about this too, but when we didn't include outs on the Scorebug?
Yeah, I remember that.
That's probably like what, 21 or 20? Too late.
Probably 21.
It was more of an editing strain for me, but it just needed to happen. And then 2021 and 2, like I started having more fun with it with like home run, like fireworks would come up, just being having more detailed like info on the Scorebug. So it's just another evolution.
What do you have like a favorite category of graphic to design in the video? Like is Scorebug up there as like a favorite thing to do?
Yeah, probably.
There's like upload graphics, final score graphics.
Yeah,
I mean on screen you have motion graphics, you have Scorebug like PNG type graphics.
What I like a lot is like overarching aesthetic of a new season.
Yeah, graphics package.
Yeah. So last year in my notes with our freelancer Cole, I was going for more of like a bright, flashy, like shiny aesthetic across everywhere. Because before then, the game day graphic was a lot of black and whites, and it was sleek. Same with just like the All-Star. This is again with like how everything comes together, but same with the All-Star jerseys.
Black and gold.
That was also black and white and gold. So this year I wanted just color and like flash and like light colors, colorful. That was kind of the filter words.
For this season or for last season?
Last year.
What are this season's filter words? It's too soon to say.
I don't want to say it yet.
Okay. Interesting. I'm looking forward to opening day. Have you mentioned the plan for spring training yet to the fans or no?
Not yet. I can say that we're probably going to have a cool video in place of that.
Ooh, okay.
Like, you know how spring training is always uploaded the Friday before opening day?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be a different one that has a pretty good chance of doing good.
Interesting. But what I was alluding to is just like this new graphics package. We're going to see pretty much a lot. Opening day.
Yeah. The season's going to be a lot like college football, how there's no spring training. Well, I just said it, I guess. But there's going to be a cool new thing in place of spring training.
You already said that, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You already said
that. But I like how everything's just going to be fresh and new. Like again, the standings are going to be all new. Like there's no divisions. Like everything you see is going to be an opening day. A lot of new cool things happening. Graphics,
Possibly
other things in the videos.
It's gonna be a sensory overload.
Sensory overload
in a good way.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that a lot. What else from this Texas video do you want to touch on? I definitely wanted to ask you about the soundtrack and what went into the decision of, because I'm used to you scoring with like more instrumentals and royalty free type songs than using these large commercial tracks. But it makes sense with the sponsorship on the video already.
Do you know the story behind the Creed song?
I mean, I love that song, but I don't know the story of why specifically you used it.
You don't? 2023, that's what the Rangers rallied behind to win the World Series.
Oh, I did not know that.
Like, that's what they would play in like the clubhouse
Great
when they
song.
won. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be like a huge Creed fan. There's like 4 Creed songs that I absolutely love to listen to, like on a boat or like, when a party's getting started. There's some Creed classics. Also, the Creed Thanksgiving Day halftime show is iconic, and it always will be in Dallas.
I'm sure all the Rangers fans noticed that, but like that's
cool.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure it was like custom to the video of who we're playing with, how it kind of applied to them. But yeah, Creed, man, they're a good band. And whenever you're cleaning the house or the garage, you want some Creed on.
Oh, it's so good. Karaoke, also Creed's an elite band for karaoke. So
also, by the way, I had the "I Want You Back" by Jackson 5. I had that identified like in the summer. Of like, this would work so well because it's like a family friendly.
So that was
like,
also in there.
Vibes are up. That's what led off the whole video.
Okay.
It's just like, it's just a feel good song. Puts you in the right mood just to start the video.
Yeah. I texted Kyle mid-watch about the Creed song. I was like, that's awesome.
I was like, yep, that was obligatory.
So for the fans at home that are watching, does that then, using those tracks, does that then remove your ability to monetize on YouTube?
Yeah, but I mean, you can monetize other ways like sponsorship, which we did.
Yep. Okay. But then you don't get revenue from the views.
That's true.
The songs just make it so much better.
But for like
everyone knows that too. Everyone knows that.
But a few times a year, like obviously the trailer, the season highlights, this one, like it's kind of like a long-term play. Like when we have a cool video like this, like we're still making money on it. And I think the music that we use to apply it like to the video, I think it has a better chance of making the video, reach higher view counts. So that's kind of why I made that decision.
It was cool also to see just all like the local media coverage as well that this event got. That was new.
I had no idea there's going to be like 3 other news. Like I knew CBS News was going to be there, but it was like a full media access. Like I had no.
Did you have to give any interviews for the local media or no?
I did. I did a big one for the Rangers, like their actual creative team. So if you're a Rangers fan and if you're going to a game this year, there might be a longer form feature piece segment played during warm-ups and stuff. I think me and you actually were a part of the Tigers one in 2019 when we did a wiffle ball game.
I do remember sitting there like in a crowd and
Jacoby Jones.
This is our we're in this.
Nico Goodrum. So it's gonna be a similar thing. Also, this is kind of a cutting edge thing that the Rangers are doing, but they're coming out with like their new TV network. So it also might be like a commercial type thing for that. So that might just be probably one of those things where it's like I get sent that in like the middle of June.
You'll never know.
Like, oh, that's kind of sick. They're playing it on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Or like, it's playing on TV. Little 2-minute segment. But yeah, I kind of just talked to the media guys there from the Rangers about just who we are, what we've done, how we know Josh, and just talking about the event. But I was mic'd up that whole day.
You mic'd up the whole day?
Pretty much, yeah.
From a third-party service?
Yeah.
Mic'd up. I think I've only done that one time, and it was for the Verizon Media little documentary.
Yeah. But also, like, they're probably not listening to this, but shout out to the Rangers creative team because they sent us and they filmed all day for video and also audio. I got my myself mic'd, Josh was mic'd, Jace was mic'd. So if you go back and listen to like the ins and outs, you can actually hear some of the like actual on-field audio from the players.
How was Jace?
He was awesome.
Cool.
Much like Josh, very humble. Again, he like you could tell he likes wiffle ball. They would talk about how they just grew up playing together, much like me and Daniel or me and you, just in the neighborhood growing up. So took him back a little bit. He got on the mound. He was feeling it, and I think if we came back another year, you'd see some big results out of him. But he was having a great time.
Yeah, the young brothers are definitely bought into the wiffle space.
They are bought
in. How about do you think the other guys got more into wiffle ball? This is impossible, I can't do this?
They're super intrigued. Like already like Adolis and Cody Bradford, they followed us on Instagram. Same with like Evan Carter. And I think the word like when they kind of relieving was like, we got to train. We got to like practice. I want to make this a game next year. Like going all out against them because game 2 kind of got out of hand when Josh stopped pitching. But I think when you have guys like that are so competitive, like any type of challenge in the baseball sphere, I feel like they want to take on. So I think they were having a great time. Adolis especially, I think he was having some fun out there.
Are there any other MLB prospects that you're aware of that you think would make a good whiffler?
I think
right now.
So there's one big name that we almost got.
Oh, for this?
He lives in Texas, I think, but he knows Josh. I want to see if you can guess this.
I'm not going to know this answer,
so
unfortunately.
I think we are pretty close to getting Bobby Witt Jr.
Oh, wow.
With the Royals.
Yeah, that'd be a huge name.
So maybe him next year. It'd be kind of sick to see like a DeGrom out there, but I don't know if he'd ever do it.
I feel like the Holiday brothers would be good.
Oh, yeah.
They're young.
They do a lot of YouTube collabs.
They do a lot of stuff. I see like they have batting cage. They just seem like a wiffle ball family.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's part of their training or not, but I feel like they would be like.
We got to get Colton to get like Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, all his Oriole buddies.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Adley's a good dude.
That was sick how we had like a Tiger, an Oriole, bunch of Rangers.
I wasn't expecting that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, same.
Pitchers, I don't know, dude. Pitching is so hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Jackson Holiday could maybe hit a wiffle ball.
Yeah.
Or Adalis Garcia. Mm-hmm. But pitching is different, man. Josh is good at pitching wiffle balls. Josh is very good.
Do you like the little like minute portion of them trying to like figure it out?
Yeah, over the backstop. Yeah. Yeah, I just can't. I feel like guys like your infielders, like the utility guys growing up versus like the guys who've been PO since they were sophomores in high school would be better wiffle ball pitchers than just like the strictly pitchers because it's just different. Like Josh is very good at it.
Yeah.
Since the first day he tried in Texas at the
for whatever reason,
Houston tournament, he was so good at it.
He just probably played a bunch as a kid and it's taking him back.
Yeah. I see Josh is doing a lot of cool stuff for the community and just for the youth. Like I see all of his Tops content he does with them. Mm-hmm. He's pretty tied in with Tops, which is cool.
He is, yep.
But he's just a good guy. I mean, we knew that right away. I'm assuming Jace is very similar.
I've said it before, but he's like fully takes advantage of his platform and like where he's at. He has a lot of fun. He's able to give back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if I was in the pros too, I'd want to collect my card. Like that'd be the most fun hobby ever. And like I know his family's super into it too. So, yeah, with him, his whole family, all his friends, like I got great feedback from everybody from this event and video. So, yeah, we said it, but we want to run it back next year.
That'd be sweet.
We gotta have you there.
How did Jimmy get the bat home? The Jace Young bat. Did he get it home?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know.
That's not getting through security at the airport.
No, he must have just snuck it in our.
The carry-on? Or the little, not carry-ons,
golf
but
bags.
The checked bags, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even see him do that, but now that you say that, that's probably what he did.
Must have.
Of course,
Jim's a slick guy.
Norp swindled that, of course. He gets like a free Jace Young bat. Watch Jace be an all-star this year.
Yeah. I don't know.
Price of that bat's going to go up $1 million.
Yeah, I'm really rooting for Jason. I want him to succeed in general, but it would be really cool if he did it here in Detroit.
I think he's playing good right now in spring training.
Is he?
I
know it's a competitive position right now with him.
I know.
On that team.
Yeah, I think the word is that he's going to make the team this year, which is really good news.
Again, I don't wish bad upon anybody, but I think Veerling got hurt.
That's also
true.
true.
Might play well for Jace.
It's also true.
And his opportunities.
But just meeting these guys, you kind of see them in a different light. So yeah, I've been kind of closely watching like the Rangers, Orioles, Tigers. You want to know something funny too? Is when the video went live at 4 p.m. on Friday, I obviously was like uploaded, tagged all the guys. And there was a Rangers game going on, and Josh, he got subbed out earlier in the game, but he's probably still in the dugout. He's probably on his phone. He posted on story.
It's spring training.
So not to put you on blast, Josh, but I thought that was funny.
Spring training. Maybe he has a media guy.
Yeah,
maybe he has a personal assistant.
Yeah, he's like LaMelo Ball. He doesn't run his IG.
I highly doubt it, but highly doubt it.
I mean, like, yeah, spring training. Who knows if they have like a dual squad? I just saw they had a game going. He was subbed out.
Dual squad. Speaking of that, I heard the Tigers like played 2 games at one time recently.
Oh yeah, they do all the time.
I never knew that. Is that a new thing?
Well, I think like down in Florida, like there's so many minor league parks right by each other.
Yeah.
So like one of them probably played at Lakeland. The other's just on the road.
Just 2 squads.
Yeah.
2 Tiger squads.
Just going.
One time.
Get more reps in, I guess.
That's pretty cool. I just didn't know that was a thing until my roommate told me recently.
That'd be pretty cool to see a Tigers game down there. I've never been to a spring training game. When? Like March, spring break type thing?
Yeah, like I was probably in 5th or 6th grade.
I went in like December when it was just nothing going on there, but I think it'd be a cool thing.
I saw a game, and I remember my dad got selected to do the shell game, like the helmet shuffle where the ball's under a batting helmet and they shuffle around. And I remember I was feeling like my trust had been broken at the time because I was like 11 years old. And they gave my dad the prize before he even did it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, here's your prize pack. So then when he won, it was like, all right, for winning, you get this cool prize pack. And I think it would have been like, oh, just for playing, it would be the same prize. Like, this is lame. You don't even get anything extra for winning.
Dude, I don't know how I haven't thought about this yet, but like, imagine if you lived in Arizona and like half the league is just coming to your
I'd be
state.
sweet. I go all the time.
Or Florida.
Cheap tickets.
Dude, I would go to a new team every day.
No, I'd be so cool. If I was like the ages, when I could drive, like ages 16 through like 21, I'd be going to baseball games 3 times a week.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so we actually saw another minor league park where the Cubs play.
Yep.
For our Arizona tournament. I didn't know that was right there in Mesa, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool thing to ask our audience. Guys, if you're from Arizona, how many different minor league parks, like AAA parks or just spring training parks have you been to, and how many teams have you seen? Because that'd be something I would love to do if everybody came up to Michigan for 3 months. Yeah,
that would be sweet. Or having like, again, now that I'm older, like you get busier and do other stuff. But when I was young, like being a couple miles away from like a minor league baseball stadium, just get cheap tickets, go watch baseball, like being within walking or biking distance from a high school even, go and watch baseball. Like that would have been so fun.
And minor league baseball is fun because they always have just the most extravagant promotions.
You got to get people to the game.
You got the players wearing the most weird things. I don't even have examples to give you right now.
Minor league baseball has the most elite mascot names and logos of any league out there. I'll put that.
You got to sell tickets somehow.
Some of those logos are so good.
Like melon heads, that's
biscuits,
one of them.
Montgomery biscuits. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Mud Hens is honestly pretty like
Mud Hens is
conservative compared to every other minor league team.
Lansing Lugnuts is a good one.
Yeah, Lansing Lugnuts.
There's all kinds of good ones. I'm forgetting a lot, but
the Sea Wolves.
Sea Wolves, the Erie
just naming all the Tigers
ones. The Erie Sea Wolves. We have the Whitecaps in Michigan.
What does that do? Does that like unlock your ability to like have cool merch, like have a cool mascot? Dude. It's probably just a mascot play.
It really is a mascot play, and it's just, I don't know, it's something to talk about. Like you open a minor league team, it's like, oh, did you hear this new team called the Biscuits?
Yeah, you probably don't want to be just called the Wildcats.
It's boring
because then
no one's going to mention that.
A million colleges and pro teams have it.
Yeah, it's just something to make you stand out. It's funny names. I don't know. I like that. There's not a lot of leagues out there like that. And minor league baseball is definitely one of them where it's just like the most outlandish logos and team names, which I like. But overall, I really did enjoy the video. I thought it was very well paced. I liked the choice of songs. I thought that was good. The soundtrack was cool. I thought your transition into the SeatGeek ad was pretty smooth.
Thank you.
I thought like the tournament was like the tournament circuit in general was pretty well promoted without like being too much of an ad, I guess. I thought it was pretty well integrated. And then I also, this might make some people mad, but I actually did like, I would rather watch this than to watch like the whole tour video. I don't know. The tour video has been good though at times, but also like I was at all those events. Maybe it's different for like, I think that video can be watched different if you're a lot of people. If you're me and you who are at every single one, it's like a cool recap of your whole year.
Yeah.
If you're someone who like plays in MLW or is a huge MLW fan, maybe you are really invested in like all those different stops. But then as like a third party casual like YouTube watch page, like homepage, and you click on that, it might lose you just because it's so long and like you don't really know the background of it. Whereas this video you could probably watch as anybody and like get a pretty good gist of this event in particular, like our tournaments and background. And it probably would intrigue you a lot about, the only thing you're left wondering about is like what is MLW
exactly
league? Like what's the league like?
A big approach.
The league is the question mark.
A big approach of this video is, of course, you see on the thumbnail Garcia, Young, Colton Cowser. So you click on the video. Like I'm trying to grab you within the first 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
Then within a minute, you probably see people your age playing this game with us around pros in an off season, and they're all just having a great time. There's good music. Hopefully that you like Jackson 5.
Yeah.
And then you stay around, and like I never want it to be like a 30-second or minute period where it's just like a dead period, nothing's happening, you click off. So that's why I got really quickly into Josh's confessionals, him on the GoPro, like talking to the camera. So it's like very interactive.
Yeah.
You can tell it's like a lighthearted, fun event, and then it gets right into an exciting like game with crazy pitches, and then the Norp, stuns Garcia, and it's like, what is this? So then after that happens, of course we want to give more background on the event, and then give more context to casual viewers who didn't know who we are. So drawing people in that didn't know about us because of the MLB factor, and then giving that context of who we are and how you can get involved in the future is kind of like a big reason we made this video and combine the two elements.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I wonder next year how you can put another spin on a different like off-season tournament type video.
I'm sure we'll find something.
But it was cool. Well, all right, that was cool. I enjoyed it. If you haven't seen the video yet, definitely go check it out. I bet you all of you have. But let us know what you thought of it in the Pipe It Up comment section, and then Kyle can take that into consideration for next year. But Kyle, appreciate you coming on and chatting about it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. I told Kyle it'd be challenging to limit us to like 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, we like to go.
Yeah, we do like to go. But we got to get over to our buddy Drew Davis to garner some views to this podcast and see what Drew... I guarantee... I'll ask Drew some questions, Kyle. But I guarantee it'll be something that I don't ask about. It'll be something that he goes out of his way to talk about that will stir up the controversy.
Probably.
If I had to guess. So we're going to jump ahead in time here. Time travel pod, as Jack says. I'm going to interview Drew tomorrow, Tuesday, day before upload day, Wednesday. So let's jump to that interview right now. I'll be back in my home office, and Drew will be wherever Drew is. So we'll see you over there. All right, part 2 of the show. We have Drew Davis here joining us now. When I say joining us, I mean joining me. I am back in my home office. Hello, Drew. How are you today?
Good. How was part 1? What was part 1 about? I want to know about part 1.
Was just me and Schultz chatting it up about the video he just released that covered the Texas event and the collaboration with Josh Young and our first ever one-day tournament. So, in that video too. So it was pretty cool. Pretty neat stuff. I'd say give it a listen if you're on a drive and want to check it out. Check it out. But your part 2, according to previous analytics, you could argue we saved best for last year. And
right.
Drew, the reason we wanted to chat with you today, and you said you wanted to come on the show, is because as soon as the rule change was announced, and when I say rule change, I mean more of the league update, removing the 2 divisions and putting the Cobras in the same pool of teams as everybody else, 8 teams, 6 make the postseason in MLW now moving forward. And I don't want to butcher what you said in the Instagram comment section. I think you actually said no comment is what you commented. Is that true?
Yeah, I said no comment. And then I said goodbye rivalries. Nice knowing you. And then I think I said something else, but I don't remember.
So three comments from Drew on that Instagram post on the announcement.
Oh, I said Andy said something, and I replied to Andy, and I said every other team listens to the league. The league listens to us.
I think I actually liked that. That was a funny comment. Would you compare the Coastal Cobras to the Buffalo Bills because you both prompt rule changes in your respective leagues?
What did the Bills? Oh, the overtime rule.
Well, that, and now they're considering they are reviewing fourth downs, and not even fourth downs. They're reviewing first downs electronically, I should say, and spot of the ball.
No, we're the opposite of the Buffalo Bills because they get rules changed in their favor, and the league makes rules in response to us doing good things to try to just squish us back down.
Interesting. So that's your take on it.
Yeah. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not worried. Like, I don't think this affects us because, I mean, if someone wants to be worried, it's Schultz over there. He better take control of his team over there and make sure he doesn't come, bottom 2.
Talk about the Bobcats?
Look, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, what prompted those comments, Drew? Because you said it seemed like you were one of the only players that was vocal about. It seemed like you were not in favor of the change based on the way that you worded the comments. It came off as you were not in favor of this change. Am I correct or incorrect?
No, not
call a spade a spade.
Not at all. Not at all.
I'm incorrect.
I think this is bad. I think this is terrible.
Oh, so you are against it?
Oh, against it. Yeah, I'm not joking. Like I know my voice might come across like I'm making this for entertainment. I'm not joking. Like I've talked to my team about this. Like Andy and I were. I can't even say what Andy and I were texting. But we were going off one night. I'd like to know who's on the rules committee. Who's making these rules?
I believe this one comes from upstairs, Mr. Kyle Schultz.
I know.
There's no committee. There's no committee.
I know. I didn't ask.
I shouldn't lie. I said there's no committee. There is not an official committee, but Kyle made this decision, and I believe his words on the podcast about 2 weeks ago when we spoke about this was that he did go to his father, his younger brother Daniel, and myself for our respective opinions on it. But at the end of the day, I don't think my opinion would have swayed it. Don't point your finger at me. I don't think my opinion would have swayed it one way or another. I'm not on a committee, Drew. The committee doesn't exist.
So what was your opinion?
My opinion, Drew, was in favor of the change simply because I am in favor of change, period, especially when it comes to this space, which is, creating content and media for the world. Here's my thing. Yep. Okay, we're listening.
I'll lay it out for you.
Lay it all out.
For one, I just think the change is done in bad taste because, I don't know. I haven't looked at the record books, but I know what I do know is that the NL was bad there for a few years. I like to know how many times an AL team missed out when they were better than the last place or the second to last place NL team. I know this isn't the first time this has happened, but just because it happens now, because the precious little Gators didn't get in to the playoffs, now it's a big deal. Second of all, the biggest reason I don't like it is the rivalries. Like, people will still say, oh, Drew, we still have to play the Preds. That game doesn't matter as much anymore because every other game matters just as much. Like, you can't gain ground in conference play anymore because there's no conferences. Plus, there's no room to experiment and try things out. Like, you used to be able to, in out of conference games, give a rookie some more playing time to see if he could pitch or put some guy in the lineup who hasn't had that many at bats because the game didn't mean as much as it did when you were playing in conference where you could really make up ground. If players had to miss games, it wasn't as big of a deal if they had to miss a game that week because now when players miss games, we're going to get screwed. And I mean,
the hat has come off, folks.
This might be a surprise to some folks who just, Drew's a bad manager, can't get his players to the field. I'll have you know, listeners, there was not a single team better at filling out the schedule availability sheet last year than the Coastal Cobras. Yet we're the ones missing players at games. So back to the rivalries. I'm getting sidetracked. Back to the rivalries. Okay. The other thing is and maybe this is just a personal opinion. I enjoyed the repetition every year between. It was almost romantic how you'd get the same playoff matchups every year. You'd build history. You'd build that. The Cobras and the Preds are playing in the ALCS. They've played in the ALCS 3 times in their history. Here are the series. Here's how those series have gone. Or the Preds and Cobras played earlier this year in the regular season. Let's see. Teams in the playoffs were automatically going to play someone they had already played before. And I think that created a little bit more tension. You have if we lost the Preds in the regular season, that's already creating a storyline for the video. Now it might happen where we're playing the Gators in the ALDS and we didn't even play them this year. So the first time we're going to play them is in the playoffs, in the first round of the playoffs. So I think, again, that just takes away from the we may not play the Preds ever again in the playoffs. Our biggest rival. That series just may never happen based on how seeding works. Second, there's no reseeding of the playoffs. So if we're the 1 seed and I'm not good at math, but anyways,
the 5 or 6 seed win, basically.
Yeah.
In their division round.
Yeah. So the 1 seed could be playing the 3 seed, and then the 2 seed could be playing the 6 seed. How is that fair?
The 1 seed will play the 4 or the 5 seed for sure, Drew. The 2 seed will play either the 3 or the 6 seed.
Okay, so
but you're correct that the 1 seed in theory could play a better team than the 2 seed if there's an upset in the quarterfinals. You're correct.
if the 6 seed beats the 3 seed, which I don't think like that happens all the time. Like I don't think the distance between 3 and 6 is that much. Second of all, I honestly think this wouldn't have happened if our team won as many games as the Gators last year. Honest opinion, because there would have been no reason to make the change. And if you look at how our season unfolded, like everyone was like, the Gators should have made it over the Cobras. And I would just say, look at our season. We lost 2 less games than the Gators, and we didn't have one of our main 4 starters for 12 out of our 15 games. The only time we had all of our core guys was the first series of the year. So the next series against the Magic, we were missing our ace pitcher. And we lost 2 games because of that. The next series, we were missing Zerlag, who had probably the best hitting year of anyone on our team. Series where we could have literally clinched the playoffs right after the All-Star break, I had to miss. Last year's year, Ash, our second best hitter, has to miss. Then Ash has to miss the entire playoff. Like, for people who say that our team was worse than the Gators, I think are lunatics. They're loons because we took we almost beat the Preds with like 3 guys. I was hurt. Ash was out. Barron wasn't there. We had a halved team, and we still would have beat the Gators if we played them. Ooh. So I just think like,
I like that.
Zerlag played how he plays, how he always has played this year. Look at his. Have you seen his stats this year? Did you check out his stats?
I saw him. They're impressive.
Zerlag's playoff numbies are insane.
Well, he went off in the CS.
So those are my takes on it. I think I maybe missed more because I was just a little stir crazy about it. But I don't really like. The only positive I can see is that you're guaranteeing the fact that the best 6 teams get in, and I don't even think that's true because you're not having a standard strength of schedule. When there were conferences,
I would agree with that point.
You were playing the same 3 conference teams as everyone else in your conference, which are the games like you can make up ground again. Because this is why when you're playing an out of conference opponent, we could get swept. And we might not even lose ground in the playoff race because the other AL team can get swept. If you're playing another AL opponent in the AL, if you sweep that team, you automatically gain 3 games. So they're like you're automatically gaining games when you play a team in your conference versus if you're playing out of conference games. Now those don't exist. And again, we could play hypothetically the top 6 teams. And another team could play the bottom 6 teams, and they might get in over us over what 1 or 2 games difference. But we had to play the best 2 teams in the league, and they didn't. I think that's a little unfair. So I guess I didn't also understand the reasoning. I heard at one point the reasoning for one of the reasonings was that it guaranteed every team a out of state series. And I didn't understand that because I don't know how that changes anything. Like, why couldn't every team have an out-of-state series prior? Like, why does this change that?
That's more of a scheduling thing with just the way things lined up. And I don't want to misspeak here because Kyle is the one who has and will continue to like arrange the schedule. But I do know that given how the schedule previously was set up to nice bubble. Drew Davis with a heck of a bubble right now. He's chewing gum while on podcast. That's like number 1 podcasting rule is don't have gum in your mouth, but you're not talking into a mic, so it's fine.
No.
The way the schedule was set up previously, and maybe this was flawed, was that you played every team in your division, conference, whatever you want to call it, and then like the 2 teams you would play out of your conference each year would flip-flop year after year. So every 2 years you were playing the exact same schedule. So I think due to that, I think Drew, it actually may have been impossible for in each of the 4 slates to have 8 unique teams play an out-of-state series. If you don't have an out-of-state series in the first slate, I believe in the next slate 2, 3, 4, 5, it's impossible to have a unique 8 all a configuration of 8 teams all play out of state. I don't want to say that for sure, but that's what I think he meant by that. Whereas now, because he has full control of the schedule, and he's not bound by a repeating schedule every 2 years, that doesn't necessarily need to be the case because you have less, or you have more possible matchups, if that makes sense. I tried to say that without advocating for either side and speaking to you. I'm trying to be.
You already spoken your side. We already know
I
how
did,
you feel.
but I spoke more in favor of it in my side from a content creator perspective, I'd say, Drew. And I think I've always had that lens more so than like a league commissioner lens, which maybe I'm flawed in that. But I was always trying to create things, and I would always advocate my voice of opinion for things that I thought would create a better end product for the fans. And in my humble opinion, Drew, I think this does create better content for the fans simply because it's something different. That's pretty much as in depth as I want to go. I don't really want to get into the weeds as much. I think everything you said is true, but a lot of the things that you don't like, I think personally I do like just because it creates something different. The strength of schedule thing, I agree, could be an issue. I'll agree with you on that 100%. And I think it was even, you said it wasn't an issue in the past. I think it even could be an issue in the past. Because even in the NFL, right, the strength of schedules vary a ton, but they try to level the playing field by making all the best teams in the division play each other. Like everybody in the NFC, you match up with the other division, you play the same placement for each of those divisions. You following me here?
Yeah.
Okay, so like last year, the Detroit Lions in the NFC North, we played every team out in the NFC West. And because we finished in first place the year prior, we had to play the first place team in the West. Same thing goes for the other NFC conference. Whatever.
I didn't know they did that. That's cool. Well, why couldn't we have done that?
Look up the NFL scheduling and how it's made. It's actually very cool. But it's tough on good teams. If you finish first place in your division, your schedule is much harder based on last year's results. So that gives the teams that weren't so good a better shot at having a winning record. Does that make sense? Creates that parity. Yeah. So I don't think it's in the cards for this year, but I think that's something that one thing I really advocated for, Drew, is this was again post decision, everything. Me just evaluating things on the podcast with Kyle, is I liked how this creates opportunity to you do this for a season and then you can make small tweaks, whether it's postseason bracket, whether it's scheduling and how it's created. I do like that aspect of it. Whereas before, I think the scheduling thing could have been tweaked to where maybe you didn't always just flip flop every 2 years you have the same schedule. Maybe it is based on results from the previous year, things like that. But
see, and I can understand the side where you want to make it standard and you don't want to be accused of not cheating but rigging the schedule. But I think I was always in favor of making the schedule based on storylines. I know in the whole,
I think his goal is now. Yeah, that's his goal now.
I know. I feel like last year, when the whole Sawyer Gators thing was going on, I really tried advocating.
So he was bummed. He was bummed about that. Yeah,
I know, and I was like, at the end of the day, why don't we just change the schedule? I think I tried making a trade with you to trade for your Gator series.
Oh, that's funny.
Maybe it might have been Norp or something, but I was I tried trading with someone. I was I'll trade you.
Trade a series. That's actually hilarious. A trade a player for a series. That's only something Drew can concoct. But no, I agree with you 100%. And again, I've always been a pro content voice. I'd say, let's bend the rules a little bit and let that happen. Whereas Kyle does put on the commissioner hat more and wants things to have a structure. So this gives him that flexibility, but also that structure. So I hear you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I see all the fans. I'm just taking I think there is pros and cons to everything. I think this has pros. I think this has cons. One of the big cons, strength of schedule, like I said. I do like the pros here, though. I'm not saying you're wrong, Drew. I'm not attacking you. I like how you come on here, and I like how you always share your side of the story. That's why we had you on.
Here's a legitimate hypothetical that I think is interesting to think about, and not just from a Cobra, because honestly, I think from the AL, because the AL was weaker this year, I don't think it affects us much, but it could affect someone in the NL, and that is a question of, how the Big Ten now, because they have such a big, they do the pods, and but they also have mandated rivalries, right? I don't know if that's what they're called.
Yeah, there's something like that. I don't even know how the Big Ten schedule works. I know the NFL better than the Big Ten, honestly.
So basically, for the Big Ten, I don't know the names of everything, but how it works is you get set rivalries. So Michigan will always play Ohio State every year, but or protected rivalries is what they're called. But the rest of their schedule is going to shift and randomize every year. So Michigan may not play Illinois, Northwestern, Purdue, Michigan State, all these other teams every year, but Michigan will play Ohio State every single year. If we do that, my question is in MLW, because I don't know if there's a right answer. Is there going to be protected rivalries? So will the Cobras play the Preds every single year? And my reasonings for both sides would be, one, I think it is a good idea to do that because you are keeping the rivalries every year. And I don't know the numbers. And again, the numbers can be skewed because if I would be hesitant to say that the Preds versus Cobra series is the most watched Cobra series every year, because if we go play in Brooklyn,
no, it's skewed. It's skewed for sure.
Yeah, if we play, but I do think if you're looking at unbiasedly, I do think that like the Cobras Preds series every single year consistently are not only the best Cobras entertainment series of the year, they're some of the best videos and series amongst the league. Like there's always good, I think, games in those things. My flip to that would be, it would really suck if you have a protected rivalry against a really good team that not everyone else has to play every year. So if you're the Eagles or the Diamondbacks or the Gators and you have to, let's say you have a protected rivalry against the Eagle. I mean, the NL is really good right now. So if you're the Gators and you have, or let's say you're the Mallards, if you have a protected rivalry against the Eagles, now I'm kind of pissed if I'm the Mallards, because I mean, yeah, I like playing a rival, but I now have to play one of the best teams every single year, and not every team does. And you're guaranteeing me a harder series, kind of like how it is in the NFL. Like you talked about, if you're a good team, you play good teams, except it might not matter if you're a good team. If you're the Mallards and you didn't, let's say next year you guys suck, the next year you're still going to have to play the Eagles. Like,
very true.
Same thing. But we're the Cobras. We were in third place last year. If we have protected rivalries, we're going to have to play the Preds every single year. And that sucks. Or on the flip side, if our team's the Magic, sorry, Jack, you guys didn't do good last year. Wait, did they do good?
You beat them in the playoffs, Drew.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. But now they're losing Grant. So another team might get pissed because they might view, or screw it. Someone might have a protected rivalry against us and say the Cobras suck every year. They never have a winning record. It's BS that they get to play them every year, and we have to go play the Preds, Eagles, and Diamondbacks. Why do they have to get to play the Cobras? You know what I'm trying to say?
No, I think you proved your point. There's pros and cons, because you started that conversation like kind of in favor of protected rivals, but then you're saying it would be a shame if that cost you games. So I think that's kind of
that's what I'm saying.
Everything has
danger.
That's my thing. Is I told Kyle immediately, literally the first time he proposed this idea to me, and he was like telling me all like the good things why it's better. I'm like, everything has pros and cons. Everything has pros and cons. So that was kind of the messaging I tried to portray, I think, when him and I discussed it on the podcast too. I do like the change, but I agree that it does cause other things to be concerned about. Just like the NFL implementing this rule for reviewing first downs with technology rather than with the chain gang.
That's called jobs, American jobs.
Pro is it's going to be right according to the football rules. Con is people are going to miss the chain gang. Chain gang was great.
You're taking away food from someone's table, someone's kids. You're going into their throat, into their gullet, ripping the food out of their stomach, their future stomachs, and saying, go get a different job.
Well said. I think we got to wrap it up with that, Drew. That's a good closing statement.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, go for it.
Do you ever see a scenario where if or when expansion happens, that conferences come back?
I do see that as a hypothetical scenario. Based on the conversation that I had with Kyle and Jack, I do see that as a hypothetical scenario. So,
all right. The people, Kyle should know, and the people should know that I am truly a devil's advocate at heart. So come to me with any solution, and I'm going to oppose you on it. It doesn't matter really what it is. But
you like to debate. You like to debate.
I will craft an argument to oppose you, even if I'm on your side.
Drew, when you were, if I was a 16-year-old in a junior high school history class, and I was partnered up with some other classmate of mine who happened to have maybe a last name close to the alphabet as me, and then they're like, "Yep, you two are against so and so and Drew Davis in debate class," I would be like, "You gotta be kidding me, dude! You gotta be kidding me!"
I did debate class twice in high school. I didn't even know you were allowed to do that.
But you did it.
I did.
All right, Drew. Well, that was a fun little conclusion to this episode. One episode, two very different parts. Part 1 with Kyle Schultz, part 2 with Drew. Fun one for me. Little time travel pod. Shout out to Jack who couldn't join us this week. But Drew, we do appreciate your time. I'll give you a salute.
Yeah.
As we wrap up here.
10-second sneak peek into the Cobra season. I'm coming back to pitching. I'm the new number 2 pitcher. Get ready.
Whoa. That was some big news Drew just dropped if you stick around to the end. But thank you all for listening. We do appreciate it. And next week, coming up on the podcast, we do plan to have Greg Kretsch on. Him and I are chatting about locking down a date. I don't know if it'll be next week or weeks prior, but that is on the horizon. So be excited about that. And I will leave you to Drew and I saying good night and goodbye.